Well, thank you so much, Dr. Bernice King, for being with us here today at the Minnesota Realtors Convention. It is an honor and a privilege to sit up here with you and have the opportunity to have this discussion with you in front of my peers here in the state of Minnesota. So thank you very much, first and foremost, for being here.
Thank you. Glad to be here. Good afternoon, everybody. All right.
All right. So first, I want to start by talking about, as you mentioned, the King Center. You are the CEO of the Martin Luther King Center for Nonviolent Social Change, the King Center, and it was founded by your mother, Coretta Scott King. Can you tell us a little bit about the work there and what your role entails as the CEO?
Well, I have a colleague who always says that I'm the chief energy officer.
Okay.
That means that I have to really encourage, inspire those that work with me to really understand our mission and our work, and that we are tied to a legacy. There's some people who work for organizations, but they're not necessarily tied to a legacy of someone who continues to impact the world. Mm-hmm. My mother created the King Center as the official living memorial to the life, work, and legacy of my father, with the intention of educating and empowering people to create just, humane, and equitable environments and society by applying my father's nonviolent philosophy and methodology. What many people don't know is that although they saw my father and those working with him in action with demonstrations and protest, and assumed that nonviolence is directly tied to, how you engage in that arena, my father really taught it as a way of life. And so we have defined nonviolence as a love-centered way of thinking, speaking, acting, and engaging that leads to personal, cultural, and societal transformation. And therefore, our work really is about helping people to create more inclusive, belonging environments and to address conflict and injustice in the world.
And well, when you talk about things that we have to change, that we have the ability to have an impact on, a lot of those disparities, exist in real estate. And we as real estate agents have things and we come from a history of land ownership that we weren't able to acquire as Black people in America. Right. And as real estate agents, knowing the history, many of us have learned the history even recently. What exactly would those actions look like for us as real estate agents when we're talking about things that happened on American soil to people, Black people in particular, who weren't able to purchase, now being real estate agents? What is our role in that and actually helping to close those disparities that exist?
I think for your community, it's important that you all be advocates for the change. You're real estate agents, but you should be agents for change, agents for justice, agents of integrity, and be courageous. I mean, there's not enough courage today in any arena as it relates to all of these issues. People are concerned about being maligned, losing friendships, and being a part of certain circles. But you have to ask yourself, what kind of person do you want to be remembered as when you leave this earth? Do you want to really leave that kind of legacy where you were quiet, you were silent, or you had the opportunity to change something and you did not? You had the opportunity to speak up about something and you did not. You had the opportunity to correct something and you chose not to. And so I think those are some of the things that need to be done in the real estate arena.
But when you speak about being courageous in that, I think a lot of people and a lot of realtors in this room may feel like they are being advocates for social change and for fair housing and for home ownership. What does strong advocacy actually look like in action?
In my father's book, Where Do We Go From Here? Chaos, a Community, and that's not a plug, but I do encourage you to pick it up if we have it on us. is perhaps his most powerful writing. He talks about this important issue around how do we move forward to continue to create a truly equitable world. Now, he didn't use the word equity, he called it genuine equality. And he said the nettlesome task for those involved in the work of change is going to be to discover how to organize our strength into compelling power so that those that are in places of power, back then he called the government, cannot elude the demands. I think what's lacking today in the world of advocacy is there's a lot of voices that are speaking up. You know, people are showing up here and there, but a lot of times it's short-lived. You know, it's just a moment. And what he was saying is we got to figure out how to leverage the strength of what different people and organizations bring to the equation and build a strategy around that to address these issues and recognize that it's not going to be a short-term process. It is going to be long-term. But you have to have an infrastructure that everybody kind of ties into and can work from and coordinate efforts. And that's how I think we get change. When you're focused, and I believe this, when you're really focused on the mission of ensuring, well, first of all, you are helping people get through one of the, if not the biggest financial transactions of their life. And you want to be concerned about not just your commission, but their success. Not just in getting the home, but also keeping the home. You know, and so if your focus is just on the commission and the next commission and the next check, then you're not going to have the open-mindedness enough to think about all those things that'll be critical for that particular individual. Because when you're mission driven, it causes you to be more specific. When you're mission driven, it's in that moment. You know what I'm saying? It's like in this moment, what am I going to do to ensure that this person has the best experience? You know, that they're treated fairly, they have the best experience. Yes, I want to get them the most, but I want to make sure it's done in a way that it is above board. And it's specific to that particular relationship and transaction. When you're commission oriented, then it's just about, hey, let's get it done. I'm not even thinking about all these other things. I'm not thinking about the person, really. I'm just thinking about the money. So it really does have to be. My father said something really powerful, and he said, as we were moving forward as a nation, and I wish we had listened to him when he wrote this and even said it. He said, we are rapidly becoming a thing-oriented society. So we have to figure out how to rapidly become a person-centered rather than a thing-oriented society. Because if we don't do that, then we're going to end up creating things and scenarios and situations that will end up destroying ourselves in the process. So we have to be more person-centered rather than profit-centered. And so we're a family.
Yeah.
We want to know each other. We want to understand each other. And we want to meet each other in our humanity, period. And so to me, that's why it's important. Everybody in this world, I don't care who you are, how rich you are, whatever, you want to feel like you belong somewhere. You belong, period. You know, no matter how wealthy you are. There's so many wealthy people, they are so lonely. They don't, all that money and they don't feel like they belong. People taking their lives because there's this disconnect, you know, for various reasons. But there's so much that you all can do to make a difference in people's lives.